Sometimes I wonder if the 7-star characters in Final Fantasy Brave Exvius are actually important. I've never heard of this guy before in my life. Vossler's Trustmaster reward, his very own gauntlets, is an accessory that boosts attack, defense, and spirit by an adequate amount and enables Unsullied Pride. It's a passive ability that increases the unit's attack by 30% and defense and spirit by 20% if they're holding a greatsword. It also mitigates magic damage by 10% for the unit. To be honest, this isn't a great Trustmaster reward. The mitigation is really low, and while it's better than nothing, it's easily replaceable. Aloha Laswell and Red 13 give better attack boosting Trustmaster rewards, and they're both in the unit of choice pool. If you wanted it for the defensive utility, I consider Sylvie's for the elemental resistance boost it's capable of providing. Let's talk about his Super Trustmaster reward, Nightmare. That's quite the name. It's a two-handed greatsword with a high amount of attack and spirit, but it's a bit of a strange combination. On the other hand, it does have a good amount of side effects. Blade of the Princess's Protector boosts the unit's spirit by 20% and provides a weak physical human killer. It also has a good damage variance range, which avoids the common drawback of greatswords. Unfortunately, the fact that it's two-handed won't do it much favors. For one, there are a bunch of stronger two-handed Super Trustmaster reward greatswords. And while the spirit boost itself is high, you're losing out on a shield, which is pretty important for tanks. Let's move on to his active abilities. First up, Forefront. It's an active provoke ability that mitigates general damage for himself by 45%. Then there's Cleaving Shield, a magic cover ability which boosts his spirit stat by 150% and provides a good amount of mitigation for himself. He has some excellent on-demand support in the form of Lucent Shield, which mitigates magic damage by 30% and general damage by 40% for your entire team. Smashing Edge is a useful enemy dispel. The attack and magic break isn't very high, but it's better than nothing. He can bring some chaining to the table with lightning and dark bolting strike attacks. Pulsing and Dark Sword imperils their respective element by a pathetic 70% and imbues their respective element. Still, it's better than nothing, but I'd really hope that you have better alternatives. Rousing Cry boosts your team's defense and spirit by 150% and also increases their lightning and dark resistance by 75% and water and light resistance by 50%. A good amount of utility for a tank, though it's nothing spectacular. Finally, just like the other Final Fantasy XII characters, he can cast Luminescence, a Oreo Ray chaining ability. Just like the others though, it can't be multicasted. With that, let's look at his cooldown abilities. Mist Balance gives Vossler a auto revive and mitigates magic damage dealt by humans by 10% for one turn. This skill is interesting to say the least, but it has a really short cooldown, so it certainly has its advantages. There are a few trials where this could come in handy, but it's not too necessary right now. Allegiance Wall gives a magic cover with an increased amount of mitigation, and mitigates magic damage by a whopping 80% for your entire team for 2 turns. Enrage breaks the enemy's defense by 70%, increases Vossler's attack by 200% for a single turn, increases the damage modifier of Pulsing Sword and Dark Sword, and Chains of Bolting Strike. Finally, there's Sword Parrying, a really strange ability that gives Vossler a low 7% chance to protect your team from physical damage. That's basically 30%. But on the flip side, it gives him complete 100% mitigation against physical attacks. While the skill can be useful, there's no reason for it to make him more reliable than an actual physical tank. Still, you can't always bring both types of tank, so it's better that it's there than not. Let's talk about his passives. He already has 10% physical and 20% magic evasion built into his kit, and has a 50% passive provoke as well. He has a chance to counter attacks with Accept the Truth, which recovers 30% of his HP and raises his attack and spirit by 200% for a single turn. The stat boost is pretty incredible, and since Vossler is a tank, it's bound to activate more often than not. You can choose to build him as an offensive unit, though you'd be casting aside the many advantages of a shield. Still, with something like a Super Trustmaster reward, you'll be able to tread the line between both worlds. Oh yeah, he also has Reflect. Finally, let's talk about his Limit Burst. Patriot's Brandish deals a single hit, gives him a provoke buff, increases your team's defense and spirit by 180%, and gives them a 50% general mitigation buff. The Defense, Spirit, and Provoke buff is a nifty addition that sets Vossler apart from other Magico tanks like Paladin Ciso and Sacred Shield Charlotte. Speaking of which, when you compare them, he's basically on the same level, though only as a magic tank. Paladin Ciso still has his other buffs, though he doesn't have on-demand mitigation like Vossler. Sacred Shield Charlotte is more or less the same, and when it comes down to it, you're ultimately going to go with your favorite character or select one of them for specialization. So let's make a rotation for him. First, ask yourself, why are you using a tank for damage? But you see, Vossler here does have the capability to do so. Is it going to be incredible? No, not at all, but if you have a Super Trustmaster reward and your turns are free, it wouldn't hurt to do so. Alright, turn 1, cast Enrage, Posing Sword, and Posing Sword. Okay, that's all we've got. By the way, Vossler can combine his chaining abilities with his tank supports, but he can't triple cast them together. Still, if you like to use Boating Strike units, don't just skip over Vossler. He won't contribute any meaningful damage, but the higher your chaining number, the more damage someone else will deal. While demand may not stand out compared to Paladin Ciso, Vossler isn't a bad unit. To be honest, the only reason he suffers is because he's been released at a time where other excellent magic tanks are also available. Sacred Shield Charlotte is in the unit of choice pool, Lightning III was a free unit from a past event, and Paladin Ciso just exists. Of course, if you have any one of these three, there is no need to try getting him. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, leave a like and subscribe. Comment below if you tried to get Vossler, and tell me how important this character was in Final Fantasy XII.